Good day, teachers! We are going to present to you our action research proposal, presented to our professor, Ms. Edita Dudado, PhD.
And to our research instructor, Mr. Cleos Riamico.
We are the research proponent. I am Joey Cadag.
And I am Marlo Lucana.
Our action research proposal, entitled Reducing Absenteeism in Grade 3 Pupils in Lumbang Elementary School by Maximizing the Parents' Involvement on Monitoring the Students' Performance. Context and rationale. Absenteeism in school is the habit of staying away from the school without providing a genuine or any reason for not attending classes. It includes both excused and unexcused absences. And by that, it can become a serious problem. Absenteeism is a truant behavior that negatively affects the performance among students. It also can lead to poor quality of education as a result of time lost while being away from school. It could also lead to moral degradation that leads to drug abuse and unruly behavior by Timothy Keter. Although the most crucial problem facing some schools is discipline. Many principals and teachers in culturally deprived areas, primarily in the inner city, consider absenteeism to be a significant and complex problem. The problem of high absenteeism frequently leads to failure and dropping out of school. The teacher must have learners in attendance, and a consistently high level of attendance is necessary for learning by Samuel Brodel. As mentioned by Xiaofeng Xiao and his study, a number of studies have been done to investigate the effect of class attendance or absenteeism on students' academic performance and in other disciplines. The primary reason students who miss a lot of class perform poorly on exam may not be that they are absent from classes, but they are less motivated or less academically capable. Specifically, previous research either examined the overall correlation between absence or attendance and grade performance among all study subjects or degrees, a measure of students' overall performance for the course against their attendance.
According to the study of Bensar, Glenn Griffon, recent statistic from the Department of Education publicized that overall students' absence rate in the Philippines is 4.5%. This means that 1 in 10 school children are classified absent. The aim of this study was to determine how parental involvement affects absenteeism among grade 3 pupils in Lumbang Elementary School. Also, this study correlates students' absenteeism and parental involvement both home and school. Parental involvement in the school was deemed important in terms of giving support and monitoring their children's attendance and performance in the school. The presence of the parents in the school boosts self-esteem and self-worth among their children, according to Jeremy Capeda.
Offering weekly perfect attendance award can allow students to still have a chance to succeed the next week. Rewards timelines, not just showing up to school, since tardiness also has an adverse impact on learning. Many schools only count on time attendance toward rewards. Sending home information highlighting both the value of attendance and incentives and the consequences of poor attendance, according to Robert Balspan. The main focus of this study is to reduce absenteeism in grade 3 pupils of Lumbang Elementary School by maximizing the parents' involvement on monitoring the students' performance. This study also focuses the possible suggestion or recommendation on how to reduce absenteeism of the grade 3 pupils to avoid dropping out or having a poor grade.
Now, let's move on to the action research questions. The researchers aim to determine if maximizing parents' involvement in the school will be effective to address absenteeism, which is the cooperative learning in the classroom of grade 3 pupils. Specifically, it attempts to answer the following research questions. Research question number 1. What is the level of absenteeism of grade 3 pupils? A. Before implementation of maximized involvement of parents. Letter B. After the implementation of maximized involvement of parents. Question number 2. How effective is the maximized involvement of parents in the school in reducing absenteeism of pupils? Let us now move on to the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. The researcher will utilize the parents' involvement to improve the attendance of grade 3 pupils and to determine the influence of parental involvement in the educational outcomes of the pupils.
The following are the major findings of the study mentioned by Shita Fan. Letter A. Parental involvement appears to be multidimensional. Ethnic group samples reported comparable degrees of parental involvement. Parents' aspiration for their children's education attainment had a consistent and positive effect on students' academic growth, and the effect of lack of thereof of parents' involvement was consistent across ethnic group samples and across data sources. Parental involvement as a whole affects all the academic variables under the study by about 0.5 to 0.55 of a standard deviation unit, according to William H. Hines. These parts are designed to stimulate and enhance the students' attendance and students' performance.
Let us now move on to the action research method. Sources of data and information. The researcher will use quantitative research design. The primary sources of data are the daily attendance and the checklist records of the grade 3 pupils of Lumbang Elementary School, which come from the teacher and the parent checklist of monitoring who will provide essential information that are needed to answer the research problem.
Let us now move on to our data gathering method. This study examines the effect of parents' involvement on improving the attendance of grade 3 pupils at Lumbang Elementary School. This is the reason why this research was undertaken. The researcher will collect the data from the daily attendance and checklist record being passed around and kept by the teacher every day and regularly filled up. The teacher will give a checklist to the parents about monitoring their children, which includes the task, so that they could check and see how they involved in monitoring their child. The parents will submit it every Friday afternoon to the teacher. Now, let us move on to our data analysis plan. The study will use a statistical tool of frequency and percentage distribution, which formula is percentage is equal to F over N, which is the variables, times 100 to analyze and interpret the gathered data. The purpose of a statistical tool is to help the researcher in making accurate result and interpretation and to back their claim. To analyze the data collected, the researcher intended to use one way of checklist metrics. Since the researcher aimed to determine the percentage of the effect of parents' involvement on reducing absenteeism, the data collected from the parents and teachers will be analyzed to answer the problem statement. Now, this is our work plan and timeline.
The goal of our work plan and timeline is to improve the attendance of grade 3 pupils by maximizing parents' involvement. The objective is to recommend this research to reduce absenteeism in the primary level. This is our cost and estimates, with a total of 2,730. And for our plans for the research and dissemination, the researcher will discuss the result and output of this action research with the principal of the school and to the teacher in order to come up on how these findings can be utilized to reduce absenteeism. and for making future action research to modify the idea and intervention used.
Let's move on to our research instrument. The researcher of this study will collect the data before intervention of distributing checklist metrics for 48 respondents through monitoring of their child's presence in school, including the provided task accomplishment. After the monitoring, the implementation of checklist metrics will introduce and discuss its use. The researcher used different reinforcement to motivate students to attend classes. Pinning an attendance sheet on the classroom board is a visual reminder of all the classes they have missed. Rewards can be handed out to the student with a maximum attendance, and instead of punishments, the students with lower attendance can be given the duty of performing different class chores. Students and teachers can collectively decide this in advance. After 1 or 2 weeks, if possible, we will gather data from the parents and teachers, and lastly, we are going to analyze the collected data if the action research was effectively changed or aid absenteeism. Thank you for watching!
Bye!
Tara.